are also streaming this, so people can catch it afterwards or are here on the live stream as well. For those who don't know me, I'm Pastor Dan, and I have been so thankful as I've reflected on our experience together, those middle and high school students and our leaders. It was such a gift. And we'll be able to share some highlights. You're going to be able to see a couple videos and things. But before all of that, I wonder if we can bring this time to God. Can we pray? God, thank you so much. Thank you for the experience you gifted us, that you allowed us to get there safely to Niagara Falls. You put just the right people right in front of us to encounter, to talk with, to listen to serve. And God, remind us that that experience isn't over yet, that you brought us back. And so please help us to be able to share. Help us to be able to see you, not just there in Niagara Falls, but here. And a special blessing on those that helped make that possible. We are so grateful for the family, for the friends, for our congregation that helped us get there. So thank you for each one of them, whether they're here or in other places as well. In your name we pray, and all God's people said, amen. Okay, so to get us in the mode here, there's going to be a couple videos and a couple things that we want to be able to share. This first video was actually put together by our very own Dex Haugen. And I want you to pay attention. He is a Jurassic Park fan. So this is a trailer, and I thought, what a special way to start our time off tonight. So let's watch that. Are you ready with it, Eric? All right. Okay, first of all, awesome job. Secondly, it makes me afraid of Emmett even more. And lastly, that video was actually put together in Niagara Falls. So it's the hiking and the things actually that he made. And I'm like, it's going to be a dinosaur or it's going to be someone like it's Emmett. Yep, that makes sense. That captures just a little bit of the fun and the things that we were able to experience together. Before we move to that, I want to just give you a couple highlights of the. First of all, we got to Niagara Falls, right? And the falls themselves, it's a huge tourist site. So thankfully, Eric Morrissey, he actually put together, I think this is a video of that. This is actually a Cave of the Winds. So we were able to be there on one of the nights. And we are actually, has anyone ever been to Niagara Falls? Yep, a couple of you. Yeah, my group, yeah. So Cave of the Winds, you actually go down an elevator, you go underneath, you wear ponchos because the falls are, you're literally right there. In fact, a lot of our group and so many people, you have the ponchos and they don't help at all because the power of the falls is just washing over you. So you got video of that, but you can just kind of see glimpses of the falls themselves. You can see how large they are when you see all the people at the part. But our favorite part, I think, to a person was the falls at night. So if you ever get to Niagara Falls, I would never have done this with my family because I'd been like, too late, 10 o'clock, that's way past my bedtime. Because they have fireworks at 10 o'clock every night. They're free, you can go to them, but they also light up the falls. They're giant, so these are just glimpses. You can't see it very well with all the light here. Maybe online you can see it a little better. And then fireworks went off. It was the most magical, beautiful moment to see God's glory. And so many part of the trip are nodding right now. So it's so fun to be able to see that and to be able to experience just this. And yes, I have the sound down, or you would hear the roaring of it right now. But there's something interesting about it. Niagara Falls. So you see the tourist site, right? Do you know I did some super sleuthing before this meeting? I didn't even know it while we were in Niagara Falls. But did you know I used Google and found out, actually for the Niagara Falls tourist area, it's $2 billion a year. $2 billion, that is not a typo. You know how much the city of Niagara Falls gets out of that $2 billion a year industry? Maybe they get, if you're going through and get some gas or stop at a restaurant. But actually to get into the park and all the attractions and all the things, that's a state thing, or it's on the Canadian side. The city itself, for better or for worse, for maybe some poor decisions in their history, they don't get much of anything. So I wanted to start with the falls themselves because it's so incredible. But the city itself is so different. So just blocks away, we're talking a poverty rate that's double the national average. 1 out of 4 people are living below the poverty line. And not only that, so there's like 47,000 people in Niagara Falls, 1,200 homeless, over 100 of them children. And so we were able to be in the city. And we stayed at a Lutheran church. They made sure to tell me when they were passing the little rubber Jesus things that we have kind of floating around here. I don't know if you've seen them. It says Jesus Saves. They gave them to each of us. But the lady said to me, are you the Lutheran pastor here? And I said, yes, I am. Thank you. She said, I'm from St. James. That was the church we were staying at. She made sure to tell me they're not ELCA anymore. But then she gave me the Jesus one and says, God loves you, and then walked away. I was like, okay, that's good. But we were in a Lutheran church, which was amazing. We had 7 different groups of us from different parts of the country. So some were from Wisconsin, some were from Pennsylvania, some were from New Jersey, Michigan. What else am I missing? Is that right? Good-sized group. Different denominations and different parts of the country. That was really, really a fun piece of that. But every day, we would split up and we were connecting with the different groups. So in the morning, we'd have devos and we'd have some time in our Bibles. And then during the week, every day, we were in different parts of the city, trying to make a difference, listening, getting our eyes really open pretty quickly. But this is where I want our leaders to come up and share just snippets of those, to give you just glimpses of that. We're not going to talk very long, but we want to give you highlights to be able to help you understand some of the things that God did through our kids and through us. So I'm wondering if any of our leaders, we have the Rich, yeah. He was looking at me like, yep, it's time. But I want you to go on the mic because there are people online who can be able to hear it. Thanks.
Yeah, a couple things our group did. Is this a little different height? Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't say that to my pastor. I apologize. But a couple of things that we did with our group. The first day we got to meet Maria at her home and help clean up her yard. She had lost her husband within the last few months. And just kind of fell behind on things, and her kids don't live in Niagara Falls. So we helped clean things up for her. In the afternoon, we went to a church that's now a historical site, and helped clean some things up at that church, and carry things upstairs and downstairs and all around, and clean out some closets, and just keep that up. And then community missions is a place where we had the opportunity to serve some meals. They house people coming out of tough situations. They can house up to 50 people at their facility. But we served meals to a group that the residents there first, and then they open it up to the community. And so we have the opportunity to serve them. And then another part of the group helped people load up their vehicles with fresh produce, canned goods. They had dog food and cat food if they had pets that they handed out to them. So that was a pretty great experience, and you got to see a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life. We went to we met Joanne at another facility, and they help take care of maybe women and their families that are in tough situations. And we put together a meal, and then we also the kids packed some different toiletry kits, some for males, some for females, and then some brown sack lunches with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, juice box, some chips, and an apple. And we literally took the boxes, and Joanne's like, all right, let's go. And we walked around the city and handed those out. And that was incredibly powerful, seeing people in the situations that they were in, whether it was homeless or just tough spot, had some addiction problems. But that was both a little scary at times, thinking about where we were walking around, but then incredibly rewarding to get to do that. So that was kind of our group in a nutshell. I don't know if there's anything else that, what's that? Yes, I missed a big one. So Niagara Art and Cultural Center was another place we helped clean up. It's the former Niagara Falls High School, like 180,000 square foot shut down high school, also a historical site. We got to meet Ray and spend some time with Ray, who is a local artist. He had a lot of things in that building. If anyone knows artists, they collect some things, it appears. And we got to help kind of clean up some things and organize and just hear Ray tell his story. And I know us collectively in the morning, it took him a little while we felt like we should have been doing something that day because Ray was telling us a bunch of stories. But what Ray needed that day was to have us listen and then later on help clean some things up. So again, a really incredible experience there. So one thing to add one thing Pastor Dan talked about is have us kind of discuss some of the things that we saw throughout the week. And it was great for us as well as the kids. And then just seeing throughout the week, at the end of every day, we would share, where did you see Jesus today? And at the beginning of the week, it was like pulling it out of the kids. And the adults all kind of shared our piece first. And then by the end of the week, we were last because everyone's hands were going up. And it was really cool to see the kids just kind of evolve just in a couple days to share what they saw. And it just kind of became the way it was. So that was pretty neat. So that's what we got.
Thank you for sharing that. That is so awesome. Things I wasn't even thinking on. That is so good. Who else wants to come up as leaders? Don't all go running up. You know all the leaders were first, you said, during the sharing. What happened, everyone? Thanks, Lindsay.
So I was in the group with Rich, so I'm not going to go through all of that again with you guys. But I think a huge thing that I noticed just from the get-go was the community, and everybody has heard me say this a billion times, but the community that these kids built within like 20 minutes of our ride to Chicago, and that community just kept getting stronger and stronger, and as an introvert myself, it was really cool to see these kids just kind of from all different places come together and serve people and serve God and just like learn from each other. That was probably the biggest thing that I took away from this trip, is just that these kids are amazing. Your kids are amazing, yeah, they are so inclusive and welcoming, and it's a really beautiful thing to see.
That's awesome. Thanks for that. Austin, Rachel, yes, you need to come up and share with those that are longing to hear more about the experience. Austin.
All right, so my favorite part about this mission trip was pretty much the last day when we went to the, what was it, what was the name of it? The women's shelter, we'll call it. When we did the bagged lunches, that put all of your kids in a situation to really see what poverty is. A lot of people think, oh, I don't have a lot. Oh, I need this, I need that. It was really hard. I got emotional that day when seeing kids in diapers walking the streets. There was needles on the ground. There was drugs being smoked on the corner. There was women on the corner. There was a lot of things that happened in that city that we, even as adults, myself, were put in a position to think, wow, the little that I maybe think I have is a lot for some people. So the difference that we were able to make just even for the 4 hours that we were in that area, that was known to be the poorest community in Niagara Falls, and we got to be part of the impact and pray for those individuals. And I think that was probably one of the most impactful things that the group I was in with Rich and Lindsay got to experience throughout the entire week. But I'm gonna kind of caveat off of Lindsay and say that your kids did an amazing job and got very uncomfortable very quickly, as Dan put it, when we first started this mission trip, and they did fantastic. So thank you for allowing us to take them and bring them to Niagara Falls and show them the other side of what the world has.
Thank you. That is awesome. Rachel and I were together with some other groups as well, so they would split us up every day, but we were in work crews that were mixed in with the other groups. So Rachel, if you want to let's share your experience.
So we were able to go to Center City, which is their low-income housing, and I think he said it was like $365 a month to live in this apartment, or in these apartments. We went three bedroom.
Like 300 something a month.
Yeah.
For a 3-bedroom, a couple bath. Is
Yeah,
that right? Two bath.
Two bath.
I mean, you couldn't even approach that in Fargo, much less in New York. Crazy.
So we spent some time with Troy. He was kind of the owner and oversaw all of it. And we cleaned up yard work, landscaping, and we cleaned out inside the apartment. It had been vacant for like 3 years, and there was lasagna in the fridge. And these kids got, I may have opted outside stuff on that trip, but the kids, they were not actually, the first time they complained, I heard any complaining, was when we had to clean up the church that we were staying in, and it was after themselves. So, but they were carrying heavy things up and downstairs, and so we did that for Center City for 3 days. We also went and delivered some meal packages to people that are homebound, and they were so excited to see the kids' faces. It was pretty incredible to see. The first couple stops, we were like, hey, you two have to go this one, you two will go next, and by halfway through, they all wanted to go to every single one, so it was pretty cool to see that, too. We helped, what was the lady's name? We went to a lady's house. She had lost her husband a couple months back and just cleaned up around her yard work stuff, too, helped her. Okay. Yeah.
This is a good little break, because your son made a time lapse of us doing some of the work for this woman who had lost her husband, just like another crew. So here's our group on a little time lapse of helping her in her yard.
And these are the kids from New Jersey, and where were the boys from? Michigan? Michigan. So they did get to go swimming, and she had a pool in her backyard, and it was 90 degrees, no air. It was really hot, so we happened to have our swimsuits with, so she offered the kids to go swimming, and they had a blast. So.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to, because I was a part of that group, there's one moment I want to share with you. So we were in cleaning out one of the apartments and doing some landscaping outside of one of those low-income housing places. And as we were working, a little boy came out. And we're just working and trying to do our thing, and he was needing friends. And he was just hanging out and talking with us, and All at once he said to Anna, "You're my best friend." And like literally, as she left, he needed to hear that he was her best friend. I thought it was such a touching thing that he just needed someone that was going to listen and was going to be there. Not that he didn't have that, but in that moment, he needed that as much as the landscaping that we were doing, which is really fun. Every night, we would, as Rich said, we would gather up and we would have worship, and it would be led by these college students or ones that had recently graduated that are the staff there for YouthWorks. And then we'd have church time, and we would not only share where we saw God, each of us would say that out loud in our circle, and then we did something that might even make all of you uncomfortable. We would hold hands, and we would pray out loud, every single one of us. Could you do that? Our kids at the beginning, and even adults, were a little uncomfortable with that and a little nervous because it's hard to have your own voice with God. It was amazing to see and to experience listening to them pray and listening to them just look for God. So honored to be able to be a part of that. But I want to move on, though. Thank you for sharing all of those, just snippets. We don't want this to be a long thing, but we just wanted to give you a taste. And before we move to the very end, we have a video that Austin put together. So every day we would ask, where did you see God, right? And they would share every day. At the end, though, on our last day, we said, what was your favorite part of this? So all of your students spent time with Austin, and they shared what was their favorite part. So Austin put together a video that I want us to watch. For those of you online, we're going to share that separately. So this will be a part that if you're streaming with us, you won't be able to see it because there's some music on it that the live stream just automatically stops it, even though we have those copyright, that license. But Facebook just says, nope, can't do it. So you'll see just a little sign that says it's muted right now for that. But we'll share that separately. But for those of you in person, you can watch that. And for those of you online, just catch that after this. We'll share it. And now, we as a group want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for blessing us with your kids and your time and the ways that you help make this possible. We are so blessed. I'm blessed as a pastor to be able to share this with you. So thank you for all the ways you've done that. If you have questions, we are going to be here. Otherwise, we hope you have a beautiful rest of your night. And for those who have just started school or are starting it, extra prayers for all of you. With that, go in peace, serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Thanks for being here.